He says, open my eyes that I may see your wonderful things in the Torah. The Torah is their word for the Old Testament. Jews refer to the Old Testament as the Torah. And there's a little problem in your translation of Psalm 119. The word Torah is often translated law. But at other times it's translated as teaching or instruction. To say Torah is to teach. That's what their word for Torah, for teachers are. And most of our English translations translate Psalm 119. They translate Torah as law all the way through. I think it's a mistake because to the modern reader, although the Jews referred to the Old Testament as the law, meaning the whole Old Testament, the prophets, the Psalms, everything, the historical books, they'd called it all the law, but it was really the Torah. So you need to understand, it's not that David is a legalist at all. It's that he's excited about the Torah, the teaching of God, which is the Old Testament. The wonderful things in your Torah. Your commands, he says, make me wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more insight than all my teachers, for I meditate on your statutes. How would you like to have more insight than your profs? You can get that. I remember reading this when I was a student and thinking, there's a lot of truth in that. Because some of the things that I'm hearing from these guys is so foolish. And you just realize that through access to the thoughts of God, he's giving me amazing insight and wisdom. So to have your mind transformed, this whole concept of becoming a wise person, what an awesome virtue to have in your life. To be a wise person. I can't think of anything I'd rather hear somebody say about me than, he's really wise. It's so awesome. And it's available to any and all believers, any of us. And it comes through the Word of God, having our mind transformed, and we actually start to think with the value system, the outlook of God Himself. And that is what wisdom is. What wisdom is. The Bible is also satisfying spiritual food. You got to eat. Deuteronomy 8:3, in the Old Testament we read, God says, man lives not by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord. This is the verse that Jesus quoted in Luke chapter 4. And it's a very important truth. We need the word that goes forth from the Lord as much as we need bread. 1 Peter 2 says, like newborn babies long for the pure milk of the word, so that by it you may grow with respect to salvation. This image of feeding ourselves spiritually through the word, very common. You can imagine a guy coming up to me and saying, oh man, I need to talk to you, man. I'm having problems. I need to counsel with you. I'll be like, oh, dude, all right, let's have lunch. And so we get together for lunch, and he's like, yeah, man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just, kind of depressed all the time. I sleep a lot. When I try to get up, I just feel too weak to do anything. I got a headache. It just won't go away. I feel sick to my stomach. I'm feeling so crappy. And so I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. And I'm like, first of all, what are you going to order for lunch? And he's like, I don't want any lunch. And I'm like, cool. Wow, you must have had a big breakfast, huh? I didn't eat any breakfast. Really? How come you're not hungry? I haven't been hungry lately. I haven't been eating for a while. Come to learn, this dude hasn't had a meal in 7 or 8 days. It'd be like, counseling session's over. You're starving yourself, pal. No wonder you feel depressed. No wonder you're too weak to do anything. You haven't eaten in over a week. Get it together. Well, that whole story is really stupid. I can't believe anybody would do something that stupid. But isn't it interesting that when we come to Christian believers, we find exactly that very thing. I don't know how many people I've sat down to talk with and wanted to help. And come to find out, so what you're telling me is you haven't been in the Word for several weeks. Your prayer life's in the crapper. And you're sitting there saying, for some reason, I don't feel like I'm doing well spiritually. Oh my God. You're starving yourself. No wonder. No, you cannot get by without this. Your whole perspective just starts to sink when we're not feeding. Imagine a baby that wasn't given milk. They'd probably die pretty quickly. That's the image that Peter uses here. Romans 10:17 says, consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word of Christ. A lot of us feel like, well, I have weak faith. I have a lot of doubt. Sometimes I doubt the Lord. Well, if you want stronger faith, you're reading it right there. Faith comes by hearing the Word of God. People that get under the Word see their faith growing. Even people that don't believe in God, if they sit long enough under the Word of God, start to believe because of the incredible, awesome power of the Word of God. Feed your faith by getting into the Word. Yeah. The Word is real satisfying spiritual food. And if you manage to get a regular habit going, if you do things a certain number of times, it starts to become a habit. We are creatures of habit. And you got to use habituation in your favor for a change. And try to make a good habit. That's the way it works. And when you get this habit going, you just won't feel right until you've had some time in the Word every day. And you get this, you can feel the difference. It does make a major difference.